A comparison of Suicide off Egg Rock and Filling Station. The authors of both of these works, Sylvia Plath and Elizabeth Bishop, both had fathers who died, and both studied with Robert Lowell. Plath was a confessionalist, so her works were statements of personal experience. Her works were also dark and disturbed. This comes from the fact that her father was very strict to her when she was young, and he died at a young age. It was something she never really got over. In the end, she wound up committing suicide. Bishop's mother lived in an asylum from when Bishop was very young. Bishop's works were rather impressionist, per se. They painted pictures with words. The theme of both of these poems is life versus death. Plath deals with death very directly in her poem Suicide off Egg Rock, and Bishop deals with life in a very macro sense, questioning the importance of all the small actions that humans deal with. Both of these poems use imagery very heavily. They both create very vivid pictures that you can see with your mind. Plath uses metaphor to compare the ocean to the actions of life and to view death in a more relativistic manner. Bishop uses wit and rhetoric to analyze and criticize the micro-actions of humans and to question the importance of daily interactions. Imagery is important because it pulls from romanticism and realism. Metaphor has always been an important use in literature, and wit and rhetoric are important for the sarcasm and often self-inspection that comes with modernism. Both of these poems view government and society on sort of the macro level, but at the same time government and society don't really matter too much, except for the remainders of the individual in society. Nature is viewed as beautiful, much like in romanticism or realism, but also secondary to human nature. These poets use human nature to create evocative pictures that run through your mind long after you are done reading the poem. Human nature and human emotion and experience are largely the primary source of wonder of these authors. The American dream is seen as sort of folly by both of these authors. Plath sees having dreams as rather dumb and unrealistic, because in the end everybody just dies, and Bishop wonders about the American dream and sort of calls it folly because it doesn't really matter to anyone else. She questions the doilies and the lining up of the cans at the filling station, even though they don't really matter. Religion is not seen in these poems because religion was not necessarily too important to these authors. Plath was rather agnostic, and Bishop doesn't seem to focus on it in this poem. The heroes of these poems seem to be hopeless. In Suicide off Egg Rock, the muse of the work is the man who has committed suicide, and the narrator seems to be indifferent to the actions of those surrounding the death, and simply focusing on the fact that death is inevitable and you will be forgotten. In the filling station, our narrator seems to be hopeless, but she is meticulous and questioning as if she doesn't see the point of doing anything. She's hopeless in the sense that she doesn't see much of a future. You may ask, why did literature change to create these poems? Well, in truth, it's a rebellion against past eras, and it's also a revolution and evolution of past eras. It's a rebellion against past eras in the fact that it's not actually a rebellion against past eras. Throughout all of American history, from colonial times to about World War II, we see that every literary era is a rebellion to the one before it. With postmodernism, this is not the case. Postmodernism is a revolution and evolution of all of the previous eras in American history. In these poems, you can see the beauty of nature, which could come from romanticism or realism. You also see kind of a biting truth behind everything, like the curtain of disillusionment's been pulled back, like you see in modernism. Postmodern works are also influenced by society and media about as much as they are used to influence society and media. In these poems, we see influence from society and media, in that Plath takes a picturesque 19-something era campsite and shows the darkness of what could have actually happened there. And Bishop takes the common scene of a filling station and meticulously questions it and the hopelessness of it all. These authors hope to influence society and media into seeing the other side of things and the folly of the American dream.